Hello, everybody, and welcome to DreamTraxx Live and Uncut. Today, I have a very special guest, one of my former students, Jalen Thomas Brooks. I'm going to tell you guys how we're going to work this today. Jalen's going to talk to us, but before we go to the question and answers, I'm going to have just talk to Jalen. I'm going to ask him about his journey a little bit like we talked about with Michael last week. Because he is a Vegas actor and he's made it. He's working in Hollywood. He's doing some pretty great things. And then after I talk to him for about 10 minutes or so, let him tell me his story. Then we'll open it up for about 20 minutes to Q&A. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So Jalen,
yes,
how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's really good to see you.
You too.
Listen, So I remember a very young Jalen coming into my school a couple of years back ago, and now you're a grown man, and you're working in Hollywood. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
So when I first came into your acting school, it was around late 2018, and so I was going to every single class. Remember, like I was just there 24/7, and I was just learning. I was just learning, just taking in as much as I could. What was that?
I was like, "Go home, kid."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I was taking as much as I could take in because I just fell in love with it really fast. I got an agent through the school, and then I started going on auditions very quick down in LA. Thankfully, and my mom and I had to drive down like same day. Like we would get an audition like on a Tuesday, then the audition would be like tomorrow, and me and my mom would have to drive down and get there on time. And like God bless her because like we were exhausted, but it didn't take long for me to like really get in a way, you know what I mean? But it was one heck of a like grind in a short amount of time, which was very tiring. I didn't expect it, you know. But it was fun. It was hard, but I learned a lot in the process, and I feel like it kind of helped me grow as an individual, as well as an actor, just from having to do that so much.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You're not even the same person that I remember. You're so much more grown up. But business will do it. It'll either ruin you or make you grow up, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we spent quite a few nights working on auditions pretty late, didn't we?
Yes, a lot.
We're the Denny's.
Yes, I was just thinking about that before I hopped on here, because we went to Denny's the other night, and when we were doing some auditions, we were like yelling at each other in like the dining area, and all the like waitresses were like, "Should we get help or something?" Like we're kind of crazy.
After the fifth or sixth time, it sounded exactly the same. It maybe should have been a clue that
it was scripted.
Scripted, yeah. But yeah, no doubt about it. Your mom was incredibly devoted to getting you through this, and it's really helpful to have somebody like that in your corner.
Yeah, 100%.
So the trip from Vegas, a lot of people in Vegas, they don't think it's really possible to make it from Vegas to Hollywood, but it is, right? But it takes a lot, doesn't it? I mean, you have to be seriously devoted to this, right?
Right.
You can't just kind of give it 75 or 80%. You literally have to give this 110%, right?
Even more, because us Las Vegas actors, we have this kind of like picture painted of us in Hollywood where people think we don't know what we're doing and what we're talking about because we come from Vegas. And so that itself is like, people don't want to take you seriously. But you should use it as a chip on your shoulder, because you go down there and you do your job, you do your audition well, you nail your character, is that it makes you look even better than you would have, because they didn't expect it, But yeah, I think it takes more than 110% because of all the things that are, one, like the drive, like the having to get down there to do that is something that people in LA don't have to do. They'll drive like an hour because of traffic, but not 4 hours down from another state.
You're not sleeping in the cars either, are they?
Yeah, right. And then yeah, it's just you have to put in a lot of work because it's something there. It is harder being in Las Vegas, but having it be more difficult kind of just makes everything when you start succeeding even more sweet because it just feels better, you know.
No, I have to ask you. So, did you feel like the education that you got from helped you at all?
100%. Yeah, and when I say that, I 100%, 200% mean it. I haven't been to another acting school besides Frank teaching me, and it's helped me break down really hard characters and just understand just how to just put myself as who I am into all my characters, and just the business side of things that you would talk about is 100% true, and it really did prepare me for what to expect especially when you got on set, like set etiquette and everything, who to talk to, who not to talk to. That was all very helpful because it's just you had a level of respect because you weren't trying to force your way around. You're just here to do your job. So yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But and I'm going to avoid that embarrassing audition that
Oh man, let's just say that.
that
was
right.
Yeah.
But you did it. You stuck it out, and you kept going to Vegas. Vegas. You kept going to Hollywood. You kept doing what you had to do. If you got a call back, you had to stay there, and you did it. Right now, thank God, one of the good things that did come out of COVID is that, a lot of stuff now, video auditions. You're not having to go down there for the primary audition, and they don't really want you in their offices right now. So if you can't trust that you're not going to be well. So we get a lot of video auditioning right now. And that's a lot of better, right? Even now, you're right.
Yeah, I had one literally yesterday, and it looks exactly like this. But it has its pros and its cons. One of the pros is that you don't have to you're not as rushed in a way. Like you have time to prepare, kind of sometimes more time. One of the cons is that you won't be able to actually connect to the person that's listening to you, as in being there in person.
Right.
But it's just having that chemistry, even if it's with the reader, having your presence be felt it's harder, but you definitely can do it over Zoom. They do them over Zoom, but yeah, some of them can get really nerve-wracking because it lags, and then you have to guess if the reader said their line or not, and you're like, oh well, and just keep going. But they understand that, so they know it's hard. So
yeah, I saw one of your auditions. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Always committed to that character.
Thank you.
One other question for you. When you were going, just kind of tell us, how did it start? What were the first couple of things you got, and how did it start to escalate?
Okay, so luckily I got one of my managers, Peter and Tara. They took me in, and they just kind of they're just my best friends, honestly. And Tara, she told me, and I always get freaked out about this, is that she said, okay, you have a fire right now. You're starting out. Every actor has a little campfire. And she's like, we're about to dump gasoline on your campfire. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, okay, sure. And then literally a week later, I was auditioning 13 times in a week and a half. And I was like, oh, okay. Literally gasoline on a campfire. But first things, yeah. And then the first thing, I think it was the third audition that I went on was Supergirl, and then I ended up booking that. And after that, I was it started kind of rolling because it's kind of true. Once you book one thing, you kind of you have more momentum to book another thing, and then you just keep going, even if it might be spaced out a little bit. So I booked Supergirl, then I got Henry Danger, and then I booked this movie that I'm not allowed to talk about. That kind of kept that got my name rolling a little bit. Then I got Animal Kingdom, which is on tomorrow at 6. If you guys want to watch TNT.
Hey guys, watch.
and then I got Rebel, which I just finished on ABC. And so yeah, that's where I am right now. But yeah, it's just once you get rolling, you're rolling. People want to see you, and it gets a lot more fun. It gets it gets fun. It gets really, really fun. Something to look forward to.
Good. Well, that's the first 10 minutes. Went by pretty fast.
No.
So go ahead and because I know all people really want to ask you some questions. So we're going to go ahead and go to the Q&A thing. Couple of things. We're not going to talk about money, and we're not going to talk about anything. Do not ask any questions, please, that has anything to do with any plot details that might have to do with something he's working on, because we cannot take those questions out of courtesy. Okay. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the first question. Peter was on fire there for a minute.
Yeah, Peter. Oh man.
Anyway, so while we're waiting for the questions to get typed in there, you were you still decided though, even though you were working in LA, you pretty much decided to stay living in Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. So I was working, I was coming back, and then like going down there, coming back. Me and my mom would stay in a hotel and just like stay down there because we didn't have anywhere to stay really that was close to LA.
Right.
But yeah, so, and I kind of wanted to be able to go in and come out, you know. I had friends here, be able to do a lot of stuff, but it's definitely is possible to do that, to live here and travel down and back and forth. It just takes a lot of energy and time. But yeah.
But like when you're shooting on a regular basis, say like the Rebel, you have to stay down there all week, right?
Right, yeah. So we were living in a hotel for like a week and a half sometimes because we had to be down there. So yeah.
All right, we're having some people with technical difficulties getting their questions in, so we'll continue to talk.
Cool.
So now, do you find yourself like, I know you still audition, but do you find like people calling you and saying, "Hey, we got this role, we think it's perfect for you," and stuff like that, or do you only have the auditions?
There's been a couple times where the people have called me for like some roles that they think I'd be good for, but it's not common even for people that are like big. Like they'll be called in to audition, you know. But for me, I kind of get into casting offices that have seen me before more than so like I've developed a relationship, you know. But yeah, so I've kind of at that point where people like casting directors know my name and knows like, oh yeah, we want you to audition, and then so I get in and be able to do my thing. So yeah.
That's good. So this all started for you just a little over 2 years ago?
Yeah, early 2019. Yeah.
And you were like, you were having this, like, you were working toward like a basketball career, weren't you? And then all of a sudden, boom, you're an actor.
Yeah, I played varsity basketball. I was a starting point guard on my varsity basketball team as a freshman at Liberty High School, and I wanted to go play D1 and then go play overseas, you know, but I ended up stopping. Didn't really like it anymore. And I tried theater first, and then theater like made me like super nervous because of how big you had to be. So the person in the back row had to hear you. I'm not a really loud person, you know, so I was like, that's not it. And then my mom found an on-camera class, which is with you guys. And yeah, and that was I did theater for about 3 months. And then I was at your school for about a year and a half before I started going on auditions.
Yeah. And I always knew, I mean, honestly, I'm just not kissing butt here, but I honestly always knew that you were going to do well.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And you did. You didn't disappoint. But I know from being there for every audition how really much work you put into what your passion was, and it was really strong. You've always had very strong passions. Okay, so Meyer Mintz's got a question for us. Do you see it?
Yes. What is your favorite part of acting? My favorite part of acting, there's a lot that I love about it. I would have to say getting on a set and just seeing everybody working together and that camaraderie of telling a story is something that's honestly, you can't even really put it into words. It's just like a group of people trying to convey a story and an emotion with a lot of heart is it is my favorite part of acting, is that camaraderie through storytelling that you get to be a part of. It's
Now,
great.
one of the things that I noticed early on with you is I think actually, to be honest with you, if you don't mind, I think didn't come that easy to you at first, did it?
No, not at all. No, I struggled a lot. I was very like sheltered. I had a lot of walls up, and you would like get in my face. You would yell at me. I would be doing a scene. You'd be like, I would be doing a scene. You get in my face, like, I don't believe you. Like, I don't believe you. Like, why don't I believe you? And then like made me cry sometimes. I remember you made me cry like twice, and I was like, oh, But
That's
yeah,
it. Well, it was my career as a YouTuber.
canceled. Yeah.
No,
But yeah, it didn't come easy for me.
I never wanted people to make people cry, but I will push you through a wall, I guess, if you get stuck there.
Yeah.
But look at the actor you are now, so brilliant. But one of the things that I always loved about you is that you always gravitated toward the roles that had so much emotional depth. I mean, it was like you craved those, even in class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's something that says something about a person to me, that when you crave those roles that really are hard
Right.
because you have to emotionally connect. And sometimes you're emotionally connecting to something that you really at a level can't connect with. You know what I'm trying to say? Like the loss of a child or being in a situation where you're scared for your life and things like that, where you probably haven't really been in a situation like that, but you craved for early on, from so early as I can remember, those types of roles that you wanted to do them and do them well. Somebody said hi to you. Just said Facebook user. Did you
Hello.
see that?
But yeah, I love emotionally deep roles. There's a lot of meat to them. You can like break them down and everything. It's awesome.
Yeah. Have you played any flat characters yet?
Any what?
Flat characters that don't really have any emotional arc to them.
Yes. Like it's important to like, even with flat characters, is to give them something, even if they don't even have an arc, is to give them some type of humanity, even if it's just like 2 lines.
Thank you. I was so
we got a question. Eric Lone wants to know if you have any suggestions on getting into character. Getting into character, it depends on what works for you. For me, say I get an audition and I understand the character and I know how the character plays in the scene. I'll try to relate it to myself if I understand anything that the scene's calling for, is that if I can personally relate, like, oh, I know what's happening here. But getting into character, sometimes I listen to a lot of music. If it's like a really funny guy, like I listen to like the whole Toy Story soundtrack just to give him that like uppity like mind. Like he just was optimistic about everything, And for
happy by what's his name?
Pharrell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for like sad characters, characters are going through a lot. I technically kind of just like zone everything out and I kind of just sit in silence and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah. What advice do you have for new actors? For new actors, I would say get into an acting class, break down your walls. Most importantly, we all have walls as human beings. And if you have emotional walls up as an actor on camera, the audience can pick it up like that. Like it doesn't seem real. And so it's our duties as actors to break down our walls and convey human emotion and so to the purest and rawest form. So it is a journey to like kind of break your own walls down, and it helps you a lot to just not be so nervous and scared, and you become comfortable in your own skin. And so that helps you a lot to be able to jump into characters and jump into scenes and being a part of stories and everything. So yeah.
Were you nervous on your first? I mean, that must have been terrifying getting on your first role. Were you on Supergirl?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so funny story. I was so nervous on Supergirl, and the first take that I ever had on Supergirl was I was walking off of this porch and saying like whatever to like saying bye to Guardian and his sister, and I basically turned to go off the porch And at that moment, I saw the camera right in my face, and I just like blinked, and I just like forgot everything, and I felt like I was about to fall over, and then everybody was like, "Oh no, it's okay," but I was just like, I was so nervous. I didn't realize it because I turned and it was like right there. I did not. It was like it was there.
You, huh?
You said say that again?
It's really surprising how close that camera will get to you.
Yeah, that it is.
Don't look at the lens. Don't look in that lens.
Right, it's like don't look into the lens, and the lens is like right here. You're like, oh, okay. But yeah, so
Okay.
I was nervous.
Where do I look? Can't see anything.
Eric Bloom wants to know, when you are on set, what do you do to meet some good people and not just go to the set and go home? To meet good people on set, let's just say, so everybody's there to do their job, whether it's the like makeup people or just like person that's pulling the focus behind the camera. Everybody's there doing their job, and you're doing their job as well. And I've seen actors hold themselves like they're above everybody, and it's important to hold yourself that you're there you're equally as important as they are, and so it's just developing that relationship and just holding yourself with that we're all doing this together, and so that makes good people gravitate towards you, so it's just, yeah. And it's just, if you hold yourself correctly as a good-natured person, it's one of the best things in this business, because it's a business about human emotion. And when everybody's working with each other and there's good people conveying it, it's a beautiful thing. You have a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So yeah. How do you build relationships with casting directors? That is a good question. Building relationships with casting directors comes with a lot of time. They bring you in as like they've never seen you before, and they want to see if you're a good actor, if you know what you're doing. And usually it's really hard to do a bad job in an audition. Like they're rooting for you. As soon as you walk into that door, they're hoping that you're the character. They're basically, they want you to be the character more than anything, so they don't have to look anymore. So it's just, you come in, you do your job, and even if you don't get the role, they're really like, oh, let's say Frank did a good job, so we're gonna bring him back for the next one, even though we didn't get this. And so you keep coming back, and you're never disappointing. And then those be like, we can bring Frank in for this, so you'll be great. And even if you don't get a role, doesn't mean you didn't leave an impression on the casting directors, which is really important to understand, because us actors are hard on ourselves, So, but yeah, it's just making relationships with casting directors comes with a lot of time. So. Yeah,
that's great advice. Yes, it does.
Right.
And it does take time, and we should anticipate that this is a journey, right? I mean, I think it's a journey. It's not something that we don't even. None of us know when it's going to happen for us, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you're familiar that I am. That it eventually, if you stick it out and you are here long enough, eventually it will happen for you, right? Happen for, I always take the approach of like. I take the approach of, why not me? I've done that my whole life. I mean, if it can happen to this person, why not me? Why do I always have to be the exception to the rule? Why can't I be that person who makes it?
Right.
We get another question here.
How do you remember your lines? Oh man. Well, in order to remember my lines, when I first get my sides, I'll read it cold like 3 times without having any bias to like who I'm playing, like I'm not just looking at my lines. I read the scene over and over again. And as soon as I kind of have understanding of what's going on in the scene, then I start looking at my lines, and I kind of just keep looking at them. And I'll speak them out loud. Excuse me. I'll speak them out loud. I'll say them out loud like I'm talking to myself. And eventually they kind of get ingrained into your skull, and like sometimes I never get out of there. Like I remember my lines from like an audition I did a year ago, and they're never gonna leave, which sucks. But yeah. But it's just constantly reading it. Yeah.
And then and it helps to be emotionally invested into that character, right? And understand why they're taking the journey that they're taking, right?
Yeah, of course.
In that character arc, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Yeah, there's one. The rush to book something can make you make mistakes. What is your advice to actors how to manage anxiety to book something? That is a great question. To manage anxiety, it's just to know that, like I said before, was we're always, as actors, we're like always get nervous because we think everything is like against us. Like we're thinking about what could happen and what can happen. We're thinking about the future instead of thinking about what we can control. And what you can control is your performance that you give in this audition. And if you can give the best performance ever, and this is one thing that helped me with my anxiety, is that I can give a very good performance, and I might not get a call back because I'm just not right for the role, you know. And so it's understanding that the booking's out of your control. Just do your audition like you already have the character. Like it's like it's your job to audition. And so hold yourself with pride in doing that and say, I'm going to do the best job I can right now. I'm going to focus on this. And that kind of puts you at ease because you're not expecting anything. You just do your performance like you love to act, you know? And that's helped me a lot with just like knowing that I can't control the outcome of things, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot of anxiety in the beginning of
Mhm.
getting started in this business.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I told class today was that that you guys have to see this as a journey. And if you don't enjoy acting enough to go on a long journey, then it's probably not a great idea to go into this field. Because we don't know. I mean, 2 years for you, it could be 10 years for somebody else, it could be 6 years for somebody else. I just talked to somebody, one of my students today, they just booked their first part in a major motion picture
Awesome.
in 7 years. And this kid's 14.
Mhm.
You know, it's sometimes you just don't, the opportunity doesn't, the right opportunity doesn't come. And where you're perfect for the role and your acting is really good.
Right.
So got a question there.
Any advice to get out of your head?
Have
Yes.
Frank yell at you.
What was that?
I said have Frank yell at you.
Yeah, that'll get you out of your head for sure. To get out of your head, for me, I sit and breathe, and like I said before, I just have to keep telling myself that the only thing I can control is my audition, and I just have to do my performance. But it's just understanding that as an individual is that what you can bring is enough, you know, and you just have to have confidence in yourself and just let it all go. You know, just control what you can control, and don't think about what can happen, what might happen. Just what you can control, and that kind of just takes a lot out of your head. But
Do you remember the first audition that you ever went out for? Do you remember what that was?
I do remember what it was for. I do not remember what happened. I don't remember, like it. Everybody's nervous in auditions. I blanked in the audition, but
That's an embarrassing question.
Oh, has Frank ever embarrassed you in class, like get in your face? I don't know, Frank, have you? Did you?
I'm not answering that question.
Let's see. I think. Oh wait. Yeah, remember when we were doing the Ouija board scene? Yeah, like I was having a really hard time showing fear, remember?
Yeah.
And he made me keep screaming over and over and over again in class, like at the top of my lungs. And I felt everybody just staring at me like this dude is cuckoo, you know? But I had to break that barrier down of just not caring what people thought. And it was the most embarrassing thing I went through at the time. I was literally screaming at the top of my lungs in front of like 20 people. And people were laughing because it was funny, you know? But I had to get over it. But yeah, Frank's embarrassed me quite a few times.
You sound so bad. I'm a good
No,
guy.
but it's helped so much. It's helped so much. It's awesome.
Well, I see you get there. Yeah, sometimes I will step in and do whatever I have to make you cross that line.
Yeah.
So, but fairly, do you feel that? Do you think that DreamTraxx provides the type of things that a new student, somebody's watching that never acted? Do you feel confident that we gave you the tools that are required to be successful like you are?
Yes, I really do. It's what you guys teach is on the individual aspect of what works best for the actor, and what we can control. And everything that I've learned in your class, I've taken to me on set, and it's helped me. It's given me the best baseline to have to start working, and then growing upon that foundation that you laid down. And there's already so much there that you put down that you're sometimes ahead of some people that are starting out as well. So yeah.
I just want to say one thing. We're over time, so
Mhm.
I'm going to just close this out. But I wanted to say that first of all, I want to say thank you in front of everybody that you have the kind of heart to come back. You came to the school this week. You met with my basics class, and that you generously sat there and you talked with them and you answered all their questions. You're always such a great person. I love you to death. And then you were good enough to go to Denny's and sit down and just be a person with everybody. Because sometimes we think the people who made it, they lose their humanity, but you show that no matter what, you came back here, you got a heart, you came back here, you talked to people, and you made everybody feel like, yeah, if it can happen for Jalen, it can happen for me. And I would just want to say publicly, thank you so much for being that kind of a person.
Oh, of course. Thank you for allowing me to come back and speak. I've had a blast. It's been great.
All right, thank you. And thank you for being on the show today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Bye.